What's good, fam? Drake is officially in his feelings again, and at this point, we might be looking at a full-scale psychiatric emergency. Talk about his 9th studio album, titled Iceman, has been circulating since the end of 2024, yet we have reached March of 2026 without a single confirmed release date. Instead of the massive billboard campaigns and high-budget hype that usually come from the OVO camp, we are seeing these messy leaks through his plot twist burner accounts. The 2024 beef with Kendrick Lamar obviously broke something inside of him that he cannot fix, and he remains completely obsessed with getting back at the TDE camp. His latest strategy involves taking random shots at ScHoolboy Q to try and reclaim a tough guy persona that he lost a long time ago. The culture is collectively yawning because nobody is buying this act anymore, and while he wants us to believe he is cold as ice, we just see a man melting under the pressure. Frantic digital tantrums have replaced what used to be major industry events, and it proves that he is stuck in the past. Sending shots at ScHoolboy Q was his attempt to regain street credibility, but the only response he received was mockery and silence. We are watching the slow-motion collapse of an empire that once felt untouchable, and his desperation is becoming the loudest thing about his brand. Kendrick is living rent-free in his head, so instead of making good music, he is busy managing burner accounts and crying about TDE. Witnessing a legend fall this hard is nasty, but that is what happens when you try to bully people who actually live the life you only rap about. The title of the album itself feels like a cry for help because everyone knows he is feeling the heat more than anyone else in the industry right now. Controlling the narrative used to be his specialty, but now he is just a passenger in his own career while his legacy gets chipped away by every failed stunt. He thinks these burner accounts are a genius marketing move, but they just look like a way to hide from the accountability of his own words. If the music was actually fire, he would be dropping it on the main platforms with a countdown rather than sneaking it onto the internet like a shameful secret. Humbling experiences have defined the OVO camp since 2024, and they still have not learned their lesson about playing chess with masters. Delays and a lack of clear direction have plagued this rollout, making the whole Iceman theme feel ironic at best. Every time he tries to build hype, it feels like he is just reheating leftovers from the Kendrick era, and the fans are losing patience with the constant teasing. He is no longer the titan who could freeze the world with a single tweet, and these plot twist leaks are just proof that he is losing his grip on the culture. Evidence of his falling off hit the internet on March 11, 2026, after a short 11-second leak started floating around as another calculated move. Drake uses this brief clip to mention the Williams sisters and ScHoolboy Q, but the whole thing feels old and desperate. He raps about reaching out to F*** King ScHoolboy for a remix because he claims Kendrick's circle is only getting paid peanuts. The bars are so mediocre that it sounds like a bad parody of a verse he would have dropped half a decade ago. Attacking the bank accounts of rappers who value integrity over industry games is his standard play when he runs out of actual things to say. Mentioning Serena and Venus again feels like he is digging up dead issues because he has no new material left. When he says they never piece it up, it basically confirms he is blacklisting the whole TDE camp, just like he did back in July of 2024. People remember him allegedly getting ScHoolboy Q's show at History in Toronto canceled out of spite, and now he wants to play the victim of some money conspiracy. Drake wants to act like he is the one walking away, but we all know he got kicked out and is now throwing rocks at the window from the sidewalk. A random Dua Lipa mention shows up for no reason, proving he is just trying to latch onto anyone with real momentum right now. Social media is already cooking him because it looks like he is clawing for attention by coming after Kendrick's Day One brothers. ScHoolboy Q stays in his lane making great music, but Drake thinks talking about a man's wallet is the only way to win an argument. It is clear he still does not get why he lost the battle, since he thinks platinum plaques can buy the respect he threw away. Coming for the TDE roster only serves as a reminder that he is still salty about everything that happened 2 years ago. He wants to look like a threat, but he is acting more like a bitter ex-boyfriend who spends all night scrolling through his former partner's feed. This leak is not the power move he thinks it is, and using a burner account to put it out shows how much his confidence has actually dropped. He hides in the shadows throwing shots because he is scared to death of what might happen if he drops a real record. Bringing up the Williams sisters again is just weak, especially since he is trying to restart a fire that went out years ago. This whole mess is just a thirsty play to get people hyped for Iceman, but everyone is just focused on how far he has fallen. Trying to bully the camp that defined the West Coast sound only makes him look smaller and more irrelevant by the minute. Mocking Q for his earnings is funny when you realize Q has the respect of the entire culture, while Drake is still trying to buy a seat at the table. Throwing Dua Lipa and Serena into his lyrics feels like he is just tossing stuff at the wall to see what stays, but the whole foundation is falling apart. He is losing for good because he is trying to win a war that ended in 2024 with weapons that do not even work anymore. Using the same old tricks of pocket watching and name dropping will not work because the TDE crew does not respect his industry games. Thinking ScHoolboy Q would ever do a remix with him is delusional, considering how much Drake has been moving like a Fed lately. He is reaching for a seat at a table that has already been cleared, and these leaks are just the sound of him begging for attention. On March 13th of 2026, ScHoolboy Q determined he had seen enough of the theater and issued a rebuttal that was even shorter than the snippet itself. He hopped on social media to post 4 words that probably hurt Drake more than a 10-minute diss track ever could. ScHoolboy Q simply posted that the music isn't even good, and that simple move sucked the oxygen right out of Drake's little hype machine. This was a lethal blow because it completely ignored the bait of a beef and went straight for the jugular of Drake's current artistry. Q is telling the world that Drake has lost his pen and his ear for what actually sounds fire in the streets. We have to remember the tension here goes back to July of 2024 when ScHoolboy Q had his Toronto show at History canceled at the last minute. The streets understood it was Drake pulling the strings because he owns that venue, and he was still salty about Q standing with Kendrick during the pop-out. Q is a West Coast legend who has actually been outside, while Drake is acting like a king in a city where he has to shut down venues to feel powerful. Back in the Kendrick beef, when Drake unleashed push-ups, the industry was actually paying attention because the quality was still somewhat there. But now, in 2026, the music sounds exhausted and the stunts look like they are being run by a scared intern who is afraid to tell the boss his ideas are trash. When ScHoolboy Q dismisses the music as not being good, it serves as the ultimate sign that those old intimidation tactics are failing. You cannot bully someone who does not respect your work, and Drake is realizing that his crown does not mean anything if the jewels are all fake. We are looking at a massive shift from the days when getting a Drake feature or even a mention could instantly make your career. These days, a Drake mention only reminds people how much he is struggling to stay on top of the mountain he spent years building. If the music actually had some substance, Q might have bothered to address the Peanuts line, but he knows that Drake is just projecting his own insecurities about his declining influence. Before we move on and see how Drake tried to buy some clout with a goofy social media stunt, tell me what y'all think. Is his word officially dead in the streets, or can he still move the needle? Tell me in the comments. No cap. While you at it, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's look at how this man's desperation reached a brand new peak. The desperation reached a brand new peak on March 19th of 2026 when the OVO camp tried to launch a coordinated social media stunt that was supposed to be legendary. A whole bunch of Drake affiliates and random celebrities suddenly changed their profile pictures to this high-resolution diamond icon. We saw everyone from TV Gucci and Kai to Johnny Manziel joining in, which was already weird enough for a hip-hop rollout. But the biggest shock was seeing West Coast veteran The Game involved in the campaign, especially considering his long history in the culture. Drake even started following this cryptic Instagram page called Kilted Diamonds, which was clearly designed to build some kind of mystery around the Iceman album. The problem is that the mystery lasted about 5 minutes before the internet started cooking the whole operation for being incredibly corny. People on X were calling the rollout messy and disorganized, and the mockery was coming from every single direction. Some fans were even joking that the diamond icon looked like a generic clip art image that Drake found at the last minute to replace a cover he was too scared to release. This coordinated effort was intended to freeze the world and make everyone stop what they were doing, but it just felt like a group of people trying way too hard to make a moment happen. The inclusion of people like Johnny Manziel just made the whole thing feel like a random collection of people who are also looking for a second chance at relevance. It did not feel like a hip-hop movement. It felt like a corporate branding exercise that lacked any real soul or excitement. The Kilted Diamonds page, only being followed by Drake, was supposed to be a flex, but it just highlighted how isolated he has become within his own industry. Instead of the streets talking about the music, the timeline was just full of people laughing at how much money he must be spending to get people to change their pictures. The culture is not impressed by shiny icons when the bars are lacking and the energy is coming off as purely defensive. Drake is attempting to force a moment because he can no longer create one organically like he used to do before Kendrick showed the world the man behind the curtain. This diamond campaign was supposed to be the big reveal for Iceman, but it ended up being just another chapter in the biggest industry collapse we have ever seen in real time. When you have to rely on Johnny Manziel and TV Gucci to move the needle, you already know the needle is stuck. The diamond was supposed to represent something unbreakable, but the only thing that broke was the last bit of credibility Drake had with the core hip-hop audience. Industry commentators are already calling this Iceman rollout the most massive collapse anyone has ever seen from a superstar at this level. The problem goes way deeper than delayed dates or some mid-snippets, because the whole OVO structure is literally crumbling under the weight of that Kendrick Lamar defeat. You can link this rollout failure straight to how distracted Drake is with these ongoing legal battles against UMG. That massive 117-page legal appeal shows a man who cares way more about courtrooms than he does about the recording studio right now. It looks desperate when he tries to sue his way back into the seat of power that he only used to hold because of his musical dominance. Those legal documents are a loud sign of a man who feels cornered and betrayed by the very system he helped build. Ongoing pressure from the Kendrick beef has forced him into a state of constant defense where he just cannot see a path forward anymore. He spends more time stressing over his contract and his royalty percentages than he does worrying about the actual quality of his verses. Most people agree the real verdict is that Kendrick Lamar won the war so convincingly that Drake is now forced to target TDE affiliates just to feel big again. Trying to bully ScHoolboy Q after everything that went down just makes Drake look smaller and more pathetic in the eyes of the culture. Kendrick Lamar did way more than just win a rap battle, and he effectively broke the spell Drake had over the whole music industry for more than a decade. Before we move on and see how Drake tries to recover from this total mess, tell me what you think about his current situation. Let me know if he is officially washed or if he can still save his legacy in the comments section. Drop it in the comments, no cap, and while you are at it, hit like and subscribe so we can continue. That Diamond campaign was his last big attempt to prove he still had the muscle to coordinate a global moment, but the world basically just shrugged its shoulders. It never started a conversation about the actual music, and instead, it just made everyone talk about how hard he is trying to look cool. This Diamond campaign failed to freeze the world, and it only showed everyone that the man who used to have the Midas touch has finally lost his grip. He is staring right at the end of an era and trying to convince himself that he still has the power to change the narrative. Everyone knows the truth is that Kendrick Lamar took his crown, which makes these desperate leaks just the sounds of a king who cannot accept that his reign is over. Drake is fighting a battle he already lost, and every move he makes just confirms that the culture has moved on without him.